Hey there, welcome to Sam's Adventures. Today I'd like to talk about when you should take your MCAT. While a multitude of factors may influence the date you choose for your exam, you should only take the MCAT exam when you feel that you are truly ready to tackle this behemoth of an exam and that your preparation will allow you to record a strong performance. Ideally, your test date should fall after you've completed most, if not all, of the core science courses that are required for admission into medical school. These include the courses of general chemistry, organic chemistry, biology, physics, and biochemistry. You may also have completed coursework in psychology and sociology, but you don't necessarily need to have completed these courses to score well on the Psych-Soc section of the MCAT. Besides these course considerations, your MCAT test date should also fall after you've completed both the content review and practice phases of your MCAT preparation, which usually takes 2 to 6 months. This is extremely important as these steps are what truly set you up for success on your exam. With these considerations in mind, a helpful way of determining what your MCAT test date should be is to first start with the latest possible date that you can sit for your MCAT and start working backwards from there. And so, let's start determining what the best time for your MCAT should be. Before we determine what the best time would be for your MCAT, let's quickly clarify a few terms. The year you plan to begin medical school is your matriculation year or start year. You complete your medical school applications the year prior, which is your application year. The medical school application is broken into two parts, the primary application and the secondary applications. The primary application consists of, among other things, your demographics, your work and activities section, your coursework, and your personal statement. This part of the medical school application is common to all the schools that you apply to. The secondary applications are school specific. They are given to you by medical schools after they have received your primary application. They consist of several school-specific prompts that you must answer and submit back to the medical schools for them to consider your application as complete. With those being cleared up, let's now jump into how you should decide what your MCAT test date should be. To ensure that you submit your applications in the earliest time frame and thereby maximize your chances for securing interviews and therefore acceptances, you should aim to be done with your MCAT at the latest by April of your application year. As an example, if you plan to start attending medical school in the fall of 2026, your application year will be 2025. Therefore, to maximize your chances for acceptance, you should aim to be done with your MCAT at the latest by April of 2025. Since it takes about a month for you to receive the results of your MCAT exam, taking your MCAT exam in April of your application year or earlier ensures that you receive your results back by May of your application year or earlier. This enables you to finalize your school list while knowing what your MCAT score is. This also allows you to submit your primary applications to your schools as soon as the portal opens for submission in early June. You can also use this 1 month of time before you receive your MCAT scores to pre-write the secondary essays for your schools. However, if come April of application year, you realize you're still not ready to take the MCAT or you're not happy with your practice test results, there is still an opportunity for you to extend the latest date you can sit for your MCAT till mid-July of your application year and still apply to medical schools that same cycle. To do this, you'll use what's called the throwaway method. The throwaway method is when you send your primary application to one medical school without an MCAT score. Because it takes about 1 month to verify your primary application, utilizing the throwaway method ensures that your applications aren't delayed due to a late submission of the primary application. To use the throwaway method, you send your completed primary application to one school that is least competitive on your list without an MCAT score. This method allows you to extend the latest date you can sit for your MCAT exam till mid-July of your application year. One important thing to remember is that your entire primary application needs to be completed prior to submission. This includes your demographics, your other impactful experiences section, your coursework, your work and activities section, and your personal statement. This is because once you hit submit, you cannot edit your primary application until it has been verified. And even after it has been verified, the changes you can make to your primary application are very limited. That is why it is very important that you thoroughly check each part of your primary application prior to hitting submit. Letters of recommendation are an important exception, as letters of recommendation can be updated after your primary application has been submitted. Once you submit your primary application, it will take about 1 month for it to get verified. After your primary has been verified for that one school, it is also verified for all other schools that you'll apply to. Therefore, you'll be able to add the other schools onto your list and send your primary applications to them to start your application process for those schools. Now that we know about the throwaway method, let's discuss its advantages and disadvantages. Starting with the advantages, the throwaway method prevents your application from being submitted too late because of a late submission of your primary applications. And this is what really allows you to extend your latest MCAT test date till mid-July of your application year. Also, the throwaway method gives you a safety in which if you happen to perform really badly on the MCAT, you will only be considered a reapplicant to that one least competitive school that you sent your throwaway primary to. But undoubtedly, the main utility of using the throwaway method is that it gives you additional time to prepare for and take your MCAT exam, while also ensuring that you'll have enough time to pre-write and submit your secondaries before the unofficial popular secondary submission deadline of Labor Day. And now, on to the disadvantages. The main disadvantage of using the throwaway method is that you'll have to work on your primary application while also preparing for your MCAT. This will be particularly true during the first week of June, where you'll have to thoroughly check your primary application to ensure that it has everything you want within it prior to hitting submit. Another important piece of information to keep in mind when using the throwaway method is that you won't have your actual MCAT scores to build your school list. Therefore, when using the throwaway method, you will have to use your practice MCAT exam results to determine what your school list should be. Overall, utilizing the throwaway method may give you a valuable few months of time, if you need it, in which to extend the latest date you can sit for your MCAT and still apply that same cycle. Your application won't be the first application that your schools receive, but it won't be so late that you're not given a fair shot at admission. Another important consideration is that mid-July of your application year can be considered a strict deadline for the latest possible date for you to sit for your MCAT. This is because sitting for the MCAT any later than mid-July of your application year may cause you to not be able to submit your completed secondaries by the unofficial deadline of Labor Day. Now that we know the factors that should influence your choice of MCAT test date, let's summarize them. Your MCAT test date should fall after you've completed most, if not all, of the core science course requirements required for medical school admissions. It should also fall after you've completed both the content review and practice phases of your MCAT preparation. Additionally, your MCAT test date should fall either on or before April of your application year. If needed, the latest date you can take your MCAT can be extended to mid-July of your application year if you utilize the throwaway method. Besides these considerations, know that there are 4 or 5 test dates that are usually offered each month, and that there are no test dates offered in the months of February, October, November, and December. Also, feel free to use the schematic to plan your MCAT test date, the link to which I've also included in the video description. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you found the information in this video to be helpful, consider giving it a like. Also, consider sharing this video to someone who might find it to be useful. As always, consider subscribing if you want more pre-med content. Take care. I'll see you again in the next video. Till then, best of luck studying for your MCAT.